Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Heath Bar. It's a good time, isn't it? It's always nice when you can take a break, enjoy a little libation for yourself, in this case, in the form of a nice, delicious conversation, which everyone can enjoy. In the world I live in, probably a lot of you do too, something crafted originally from the creator is what we like. We like things that are local. We like things that are original. We like things that aren't manufactured and shipped all over the world to be the exact same. Craft beer, craft music, arts. We got here in the Black Hills, we've got a lot of local designers and creators that put out a lot of the t-shirts and the hats and the stickers we've got around here, and those are awesome. We love that stuff. So why not craft conversations? That's what the Heath Bar offers. With each episode, a handcrafted conversation put on tap for you to enjoy at your convenience. So thanks for hanging out. I had a couple business things. Of course, my website, heathbaronline.com, is still up and going. It's got all the past episodes up there, some blog posts that I write when I get the chance to. Lately, life has been insanely busy, so my writing has taken a little bit of a hiatus, but I promise you it is all coming back. heathbaronline.com, go check it out. So see what books I'm reading, where I'm going to be playing. This summer has been full for me with music. I don't think I've had a weekend free since before May. And it's going to continue that way for a while through August. But that's okay. Playing music is fun. And I sure enjoy doing it for all of you that come out and say hi. And even those that don't, it's okay. I understand. We're all busy. And a lot of the people that I know are musicians and playing themselves as well. So you can't fault anyone for that. It's nice when we all get to see each other, which hopefully is always soon. If you want to shoot me an email, heath@heathbaronline.com. I'd love to hear from you, chat with you, talk with you, see what you're thinking about the podcast, see if you got any ideas or thoughts that you want to see people on. If there's someone that you know, like, hey, you should talk to them, let me know. It'd be fun to get them on. It'd be fun to chat and get some stories and some conversations on here for all of you. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at HeathBarOnline. Those are the handles there. And then on Twitter as well, at Heath Johnson. And when you can, don't forget to leave a review. Go to iTunes Podcast, leave a review for the Heath Bar, let people know how awesome it is. Or at least if you think so. Be honest. Honesty is always a good thing. But at any rate, I would sure appreciate it. Helps get the word out, helps get those Apple algorithms aware of what we're doing out here in the Black Hills and what the Heath Bar is offering for the world. Okay, enough of that for now. There's probably more announcements, but I'll let them sit. So with that said, I'm really excited about this episode. I've never done anything like this before specifically, so this is going to be a treat. Let me just tell you a little bit about what's going on. This is episode 1 of a two-parter that you won't find part 2 on the Heath Bar. You're going to have to travel a little bit down to eastern Nebraska, to be specific. I sat down with Ted and Alice Miller. And if you don't know who this couple is, if you've never heard their music, I recommend you to go check them out if you're in that area or around where they're going to be playing. Because they do make some travel gigs, so they come up to the Black Hills every now and then, and other places as well. But go check them out. They're absolutely fantastic. This is our first time meeting. We've only interacted through email before this, and it was like we've known each other a long time. I felt like I was just hanging out with some friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and we just got to sit and chat and be real and enjoy each other's company. They've been playing music a long time. And that's, you can tell in their energy with each other, and when you listen to their music, you can tell that this has been something that's been going on for a while, and they have honed in their craft. They've got 3 full-length albums under their belt, a couple of them winning awards. Americana CD of the Year, and I think it was called something about like the Young Original of the Year award from the Rural Roots Music Association, I believe. They have been doing some pretty cool things, and I am excited that I get to bring this conversation for you. The other thing that they do is they have their own podcast, which is fantastic. It's called Plucking Strings with Ted and Alice Miller, and it's something you all should go check out and hear, because here's why. Not only are Ted and Alice Miller some of the coolest people you'll ever get to listen to and see, but part 2 of this conversation is an episode on their podcast. It was really cool. We sat down, we talked. I did the whole Heath Bar thing, and I got to be the host and interact with them and ask them questions. Then we hit pause, rotated seats, and they took over, and they got to be the ones in the driver's seat, and I got to be the one getting grilled, being the guinea pig. And it was a really good time. You get to know a little bit more about me and my history, my background, that you don't really get to hear here at the Heath Bar, because I'm always wanting to bring other people's stories to you. So it was a fantastic opportunity. And if you guys are interested in some of the backstory of yours truly, go listen to Plucking Strings with Ted and Alice Miller after this episode of the Heath Bar. Enough of that. Speaking of the conversation, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Heath Bar, I give you Ted and Alice Miller. Welcome to the Heath Bar, where the conversations are always on tap. So, cheers, guys. Let's do it. Let's cheers it.
All right.
And,
So actually, real quick,
yeah.
yes, cheers first and foremost, absolutely, with my nerd
What were
water.
you thinking about?
Water, kombucha, and chili beer before noon.
I feel like, what's that line from The Simpsons? The Troy my name's Troy McClure. You may remember me from such films as Designated Drivers, The Life-Saving Nerds.
That's right. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, the Heath Bar opens up at 7 a.m. for drinking, just so people know. Not true, but
Wait,
today,
there's a specific time? Isn't
No.
it 24/7?
Well, yeah. Basically, if someone's around and they want to drink, I'll probably have a drink with them. I've been going through that. Should I cut back a bit? Kind of thing, because I'm 35 now, and
We gotta tell you our age now.
the next day hurts more than it
It
used to,
does,
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh man. So, but yeah, it's fun.
Oh yeah, I work on the road, so like, it's easy when I'm on the road and I'm by myself. Well, I got a crew with me, but I've been doing it long enough that I get along with the guys I work with, and we're all married and shit. So it's like the days of after work, let's go to the fucking bar.
Right,
Those days
right.
have kind of faded. So I got a Fire Stick. So I usually just get back to the room, work out a little, and then I watch movies.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So that makes it easy. Monday through Wednesday, I typically don't partake, but that frickin' Thursday night when I get home,
Okay, it's time.
yeah,
It's
nothing's
time.
holding me back now.
Yeah,
and
and
the-
you feel good about yourself, don't you? Because you're like, hey, I made it all week.
Yeah, 3 days with no
I
booze.
deserve one. I can do
So
one.
funny story about because Ted's gone, and maybe I don't need to sit at home and have beer by myself, right? I've had a really hard time getting going with that this summer, and this last week I finally said, okay, this is a week, Monday through Wednesday, no beer for Alice. And I did. I felt really good about myself. And Thursday rolled around, and I'm like, yeah. And we cracked a beer Thursday night, and I was like, I deserve this, and the next one. And the one after that.
And then we lit the fire pit.
Yeah.
I need a beer with that.
You can't have a fire pit without a beer.
No,
God,
no.
I grew up. I grew up in Baptist churches, and we did fire pits all the time. And I'm looking back, I'm like, how did I do that without beer? You know what I mean? I I was underage, so that's probably easier, But like, yeah, now I'm like, God, I can't believe I had fire pits without beer when I was younger, but oh well. What do you do? What's your day job? So you guys you're both playing music. How long have you been playing together? Let's start there, but then
How
we'll
we've
get
been
to
playing together?
How long have you been doing music yourselves, and then together as a group, and then we'll get to the boring day job stuff. That
Okay,
we
yeah,
all
let's-
also have too. You know,
Let's start with the cool stuff first.
Yeah.
right?
let's crank
Right.
through that.
Yeah.
That'll take the whole episode. But
But as far as myself, I guess been playing music, I guess all my life. I mean, really, there was, I guess since I can remembering, if that's the right way to phrase that, I've always been banging on a guitar.
Yeah.
So that it's always been prevalent that way through high school, played in some punk bands, always kind of, it's not too untypical of a story that you go from being a punk to being like an Americana folk guy, right? That just happens.
it's an easy transition.
It is, right?
Natural progression.
You can
Yeah.
still pour out your feelings into a song. You're just not as angry.
Mm-hmm.
At least it doesn't come across as angry. The lyrics might be angry if you just look at them. But
Yeah, it doesn't directly portray it as
You can
angry
deliver
right
it
away.
different.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
The delivery. The
Yeah.
delivery is a little bit more subtle. Where your grandma can listen to it and be like, "Oh, that's nice, honey. Yeah, right."
But Grandma, did you really listen to the words?
Yeah, we got one song in particular that's like that kids really, really, really like. It's really funny, but we did keep it G-rated, like
Thank
the
goodness.
lyrics. But your imagination can really kind of run wild with the lyrics about what we're talking about. But every time we play it, like we play a farmer's market in Sioux Falls
Sure.
a lot, and there's the last time we played it in particular, this little girl was up there dancing, and we remembered her. And they're like, "Oh yeah. My daughters really love this song." And it was just super funny. The kids really love this song, and I'm like, "Oh, if you only knew like the actual kind of message we were talking about." It's not
you only
anything
knew where
like
we were
super
going.
inappropriate,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of fun that way. But no, and then after high school, I was in we didn't know if it was a punk band or a metal band or what we called it, but we were called the Catholics because we grew up in a small Catholic town. So we were being smart asses, let's call ourselves the Catholics,
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, right. And so I always said we were kind of a cross between like the Sex Pistols and Black Sabbath. We didn't know if we wanted to be punk or metal or whatever. It was really fun.
This is all in Nebraska.
Yeah, because
Okay.
when I graduated high school, I moved to Lincoln for college, like most kids do from Nebraska. It was kind of on average. You know that. You're a fellow Nebraskan.
Lincoln or Omaha. That's
Yeah.
where you usually end up unless you leave the state. So
Right. And we're three Nebraskans sitting in West
That's
River, South
right.
Dakota right now.
Did we all leave the state and then come back to Nebraska?
More, I did for a time, yeah. And
Yeah.
and did you?
So I moved up here in 2008, and I've been here ever since. But I don't know if I will ever move back to Nebraska.
Okay.
Like I actually wrote a song. My parents are thinking on moving up here and that, and I wrote a song, and one of the lyrics goes, "Honey, we should get out of Nebraska. I hear it's nicer, literally anywhere else in the world." Which is not. There's some gorgeous parts of Nebraska.
Right.
I grew up in the Sandhills, and I mean they're pretty lame if you are just driving through them and you're used to a bunch of scenery and stuff. But if you grow up there, man, they hold a piece of your heart and they don't let it go. You know.
And this is not lip service. I lived in the Sandhills for a while on a job I took, and I lived south of Valentine on the Valentine National Wildlife Refuge, not the
Okay.
Fort Niobrara one that's by town, but the one further south. And I got to know all the ranchers out there and doing the work I was doing. And I will 100% agree. I think the Sandhills are just magical, like kind of like the last Mayberry. I mean, it's just such a beautiful area.
It's unbelievable. I mean, they just roll forever. And growing up, ranching and haying and cattle branded and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
When people meet me now, they're like, you had a life. That's what you did. I'm like, yeah, that's what I did. And
Yeah.
It's just, people change and people move and go on. But I lost an iguana out there in the Sandhills.
Oh,
This is a great story. So I've always wanted an iguana, and I had one, and it was great. He'd sit on my head, like they do in the Foxtrot comics and everything like that.
Right on.
They sit on your head. And a friend of mine left the cage open and left the door open to our bunkhouse that my brother and I were living in.
oh no.
And he got out, and my mom she goes, "Well, we ever hear of a dragon in the Sandhills?" Because they grow to their size. Just cracking a joke. They don't grow that big, but it's like, yeah, that would be him. He's just out roaming around, but I'm sure a raccoon found him. Or
Yeah,
something.
a coyote or a raccoon or something
Yeah.
got a pretty damn unique meal that they're never going to have
like,
again in the
ooh,
Sandhills.
delicacy. All right.
So I have to ask, what was the iguana's name?
Man, good question.
I was
What?
gonna say
You don't
Jub Jub.
remember
That's
his
also
name?
a Simpsons line.
I think it was. I think I named him. Was it Tiberius?
Tiberius.
I think so. I was really big into Star Trek growing up, and I had two hedgehogs that were named Trekkie and Tribble, and then Tiberius is Captain Kirk's middle name.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that's what I did it.
Nice.
See, I don't even have water, and I'm still nerding out. So we're in good company here.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Right on.
I knew I liked you the second you walked in the door. Oh, hey.
But no, I guess to kind of try to stay on track after that, and I look back on those days and I kind of feel bad because I was kind of emulating towards the alt country genre hit me like a shit ton of bricks. I mean, like when I first heard Sun Volt Trace, a lot of people say
sure.
that, right?
Yeah.
And I discovered that album before I backtracked through all the Uncle Tupelo stuff.
Okay.
And at that point, it was just down that road. And I really feel bad. I need to apologize to I'm still friends with that band we were in, but and youth is youth, right? So, I mean, no one strides a perfect line.
Sure.
But
sure.
I did push myself out of that band, and I didn't do it probably well, as a young, smart ass punk. It was like, I didn't just say I want out of the band. I made it difficult, and then it just kind of quit.
You started really sucking at shows, playing
stuff
the wrong
like that,
notes,
being difficult to be around, and and the whole works, and then
not helping tear up and set down, or tear down and set
you
up.
guys did that. Yeah, right. You know me so well.
God, that Ted, he's a real pain.
Oh man. Well, I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know, finding that kind of music, I think it does change you a little bit. Like I have friends that grow up and they have a steady diet of radio country.
Yeah.
And you can tell, just the conversations they have, the certain level of the quality of the conversation is kind of hits the ceiling, because it's just that's what it is, And,
yeah, right.
And I compare it to fast food chains and restaurants versus manufactured music and quality songwriting. At least with fast food, you can get rid of that. You can diet, exercise. Your body has a digestive system. It's gonna leave you at some point,
right?
If you're constantly in really shitty music. That stuff sticks to your soul, man.
Exactly.
I don't know how many times I'll get a song in my head and I'm like, oh my God, no.
Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you find it, like Sun Volt, Uncle Tupelo and people like that, and I mean, it does change you a bit.
Yeah.
A lot, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I've been challenged myself in the wintertime when I'm just stuck in the shop and I'm not working out in the field. I challenge myself to not always just have a Bluetooth speaker going with what I want to listen to. I'll put it on country radio or I'll put it on rock radio. And I guess not to date myself, but part of me still is almost natural to that though, because I grew up, with that being the norm. So part of me, it's almost natural to still have a local radio ad or something like that,
sure.
in the midst of things.
Sure.
But what I honestly will do a lot of times is I'm going to put it on country radio today and still. And what you find out is there's still a lot of really bad stuff out there.
Yeah.
But it's good to do that though, because you learn that. But then there's still everybody generally still wants to be good. It's like, hey, that is still a really good flipping tune that did make it to the masses.
Sure. And every now and then one will sneak in.
Yeah, yeah.
That get filtered through.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's good to stay
someone.
engaged with the mainstream that way, I guess.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
That's
but,
true.
But,
That's valuable to do. Good point.
Yeah.
I should stop ripping on it as much as I do.
it's easy to do because it's there's some stuff out there that it's like, oh my Lord, how does anybody enjoy that as a means of satisfaction, I guess.
But I think it's the lack of thinking. Again, it's the spoon-fed music, spoon-fed manufactured stuff. But.
And then it's interesting, when we're talking radio stations or whatever, it'll be that spoon-fed manufactured stuff that just gets replayed over and over and over and over until it's pounded into your head. And whatever that message is.
Yep. It's like, oh, now you like this now because you've heard it 1,000 times.
Whether
in your head and it's a catchy hook,
Yeah.
It is, man.
And then when you were saying that music sticks to your soul, it's like it actually does stick with you because it's
slowly degrades your
it's
innards.
getting into your head.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in with that kind of music and stuff, or is it?
So my music background is way different than Ted. So I grew up, my dad is a very musical person. Like I grew up with him always getting together with buddies and sitting around a campfire or something like that with a
So
guitar
a family
out.
thing.
Yeah, a family
Okay,
thing, totally.
gotcha.
In fact, like super young memories, like he would do these fiddling competitions.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, in Iowa and stuff. And I just remember being like a really small little kid and going with him and my sister. We'd go to these competitions, and I didn't really understand what was going on around me. It's just I kind of can still remember that vibe and that
Sure,
feel of it.
sure.
But then as far as like being a musician, nothing ever really stuck with me. Like when I was younger, I picked up violin and tried violin lessons, and that was really cool, but just never really stuck. Piano lessons, the recitals, like I would get super nervous, and like I could do all this practice in the world, and then when it came to the recital, it was like I flew through that song like super fast and shaky the whole time.
Sure.
So it's like nothing ever really quite stuck, but I kept, and then in high school, I was in chorus and swing choir and stuff, and singing in a group, like I really dug it. I really enjoyed singing. I really liked the way it felt. Even did a trio with some friends of mine, and just the fear of it, the stage fright, the nervousness, it was like I would just shake, my lip would twitch. It's like, whoa, this is not for me. So I find it very interesting that music kept coming back around.
Sure.
Because when we were dating, if Ted would have told me that, oh, we're going to record an album and we're going to be a duo and we're going to start playing music in front of people, I would have been like, sorry, Ted, I really dig you, but I got to go. Like, this is not...
It's the swipe left on the app. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah,
going to work out.
This is not going to work for me. Like, not even close. Not at all. Because just the thought of it would be like anxious, whatever. And
Like, strictly just being on the stage. Like, playing
Yes.
around, hanging out. Like, you're fine with that. It's just when the spotlight's on.
Even
Well, at least
like-
it was, yeah.
yeah, even like sitting around with a bunch of people that played music, because I had this thing in my head where it's like, I'm not worthy. Like, I don't
Oh,
play an
sure.
instrument, right?
Yeah.
And even just sitting around with a group of people, it was like, I would lock up. Like, nope, not going to sing.
Yeah, there were some
Nope.
touch and go moments on some of them early shows. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen to my wife up there tonight. You speak of like the lip twitching or whatever. I'm like, oh, how's this going to...
You seen the fainting goats? They just like freeze and fall over.
Yeah,
like, is
that
that going
was-
to happen to Alice?
I'm going to say that was me. It's gotten so much better.
We're Ted and Alice Miller. That's Alice down there. I was like,
Hands and feet in the air, just frozen stiff. Oh, man.
Can't go on. But it's interesting. The music thing just kept coming back,
Sure,
kept coming
yeah.
back. And, it's in the early days, like, Ted brought me an egg shaker, and he's like, here, you could play this egg shaker too and sing. And I would try to play this egg shaker and sing, and it was like chewing bubble gum and trying to walk, or like patting
Oh,
my head
yeah.
and rubbing, like it just didn't work. And then it's like, here's a cajon. You should play this cajon. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I can't, I'm doing good.
Is this dating or is this
No,
like...
this is by now we were married.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because,
right.
he didn't tell me ahead of time that we were going to do this.
Oh,
so we
sure.
got married
He
first.
made sure to
and then-
marry you. Clever,
yeah,
smart
I
man.
had
It's
this
like,
down,
hey,
right?
Yeah. And then, and then
locked
it's,
and tight. Like, here we go. All right.
yeah. And then it's like a drum kit. It's like, here, you can do this. And then here, have some harmonicas. So like slowly but surely, we've just been adding things in, and now I'm realizing that it's like, it's okay, Alice. You don't have to be a really good guitar player to still consider yourself a musician or a songwriter. So slowly but surely that confidence is coming, and realizing that the fear comes from within. It's like,
Yeah,
right, the
yeah.
fear of judgment or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
just get up there and
We
do
all
your
have that as
thing.
songwriters, yeah.
Like,
Well, there's always someone better. Like, there's always there's a tier or a hierarchy, however you want to look
Right.
at it. Like,
Yeah.
there's a spectrum of beginners, and there's a spectrum of pros that have been doing it
Veterans and-
50, 60,
Yeah.
70 years.
Yeah.
And that was the thing for me too, was that like, hey, some people are gonna like my stuff, some people aren't. I
Yeah.
don't have to get it right all the time. I want to keep improving. But
Right.
if I screw up on a song in the middle of a gig, okay,
it's not the end of the
it's
world.
fine.
Right.
You
How many
know?
times have you been on the other end of that where you've been sitting in the audience, and you're like, oh, he just screwed up that note, and you're like, you thought about it, and then that it's a fleeting thought.
Or,
It's
oh,
gone. It
there's-
doesn't.
It's not a
even-
big deal. Or you don't even
My
notice.
voice cracked.
Exactly. Sure.
Oh, well. Oh, darn it.
I can't believe my voice still cracks. Like, you'd think it wouldn't by now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm way past puberty, I hope. Pretty sure I'm past
We're giving
it.
you a beer.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and still, I'll hit those probably because of the songs I choose to sing. Like, because I try to curate, if that's the word to use, a pretty good quality of covers at my shows and stuff, and I'll pick some that it's like, that's really hard to hit, but I really like this song, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Gonna
try
try
it.
it.
So it's my own damn fault if my voice cracks in the middle of a show, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so kind of different backgrounds. Family thing did your family play? I guess we didn't really get into that.
No,
but-
it was a little different for me. I guess my oldest brother, yes, I should say yes and no. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and my oldest brother and me were really the only two that did anything musically.
Okay.
Instrument wise or anything like that. But no, as far as a family deal, not to start down a deep road or anything like that. But no, I grew up more in my old man was like, turn that down, freaking half them bastards are on cocaine anyway, and then rip the guitar out of your hands, and
And mine's showing me
so
all
in the
this
basement,
cool stuff.
I'd be down in the basement, and I knew the exact sound of when the door would slam that he left, so I'd be like, no, all right, and then I'd start cranking him back up again, and so no, it wasn't like a unity thing family wise. It was more of a. Sometimes I think that's why even in my Americana stuff, my guitar playing's really choppy, and stuff like that, because I was always just waiting for them moments and the anticipation. Now I get to play some, some
sure.
stuff.
the
and,
dead angst.
like I get,
Absolutely.
some of the really gentle finger pickers that are out there and stuff is like, there's always not always somebody better, but something you want to emulate too. It's like, man, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I
I've got a buddy of mine that his theory with anything is just time. And I agree to that to a certain extent. I think, if you want to learn something, you spend enough time on it, you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I also think there's a certain thing of just natural ingrained talent, like that just comes naturally to a person. And
Exactly.
And so I think there's a balance there in each of it. But yeah, I'll get that where I'll listen to someone hear a song and it's like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And how do I do that? And
Right.
then I watch a YouTube video. It's like, I'll never be able to
Yeah.
do
There's
that.
not enough time
There's no
to do that.
I just don't have the time. Like maybe if I spent like months, but I'm a busy guy, It's like,
Yeah.
I can't do that all the time. Part of the reason this podcast started was so I could talk to people again, just because I'm so busy.
Excellent. Right.
It's an excuse, just to hang out.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm glad you did because I'm
That's
enjoying
right.
myself. This is awesome. Yeah.
so, what city do you guys actually live in, or town? I guess.
Well, we both grew up in Hardington, Nebraska.
Okay.
It's in the northeast tip. Now we live not in a town. We live in the country. We have an acreage, but
Closest town?
closest town is Menominee, Nebraska.
Menominee.
Like Menominee. There's a Menominee, Wisconsin too. But
All I can think of
like the
is the
Muppets?
Muppets. Right.
Yeah.
Phenomena. Ba-ba-na-na-na.
yep.
Oh
So,
my gosh!
and I think
I did
there's
not know there was a Menominee, Nebraska.
yeah, there's not much there now. It's like unincorporated. There's no post office, but there's
There's a church, a
There's a
hall,
church.
a cemetery,
and
bar?
Coors Garage across the road.
no bar.
No bar?
No,
Oh,
no,
well, definitely unincorporated. Then.
Yes.
Yeah, there's literally 1, 2, like really only 3 dwellings of people living in the town that is actually like in
That's
the town.
sure, okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of a landmark now. It's not really a town, but yeah, but that sits just south of Yankton, South Dakota. So we always kind of joke around. We're kind of reciprocity. We kind of consider ourselves residents of both
Sure.
Nebraska and South Dakota. But
Absolutely.
We
but,
live in Nebraska so we can pay the taxes and
Exactly. We
hang
just love
out in
doing
South
that.
Dakota.
Dual citizenship.
Yeah, right.
Some people, it's another whole other world, but yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So that's all eastern side.
Yeah.
Of the states and everything, and
You were a Western Nebraska.
So I grew up in western Nebraska. Sutherland, Paxton, Arthur were the 3 towns I lived in
Okay.
out there. Most of my time was spent in Arthur. At least most of my formidable years, high
Sure.
school and stuff, and when I was playing track and football and basketball was all that and everything, and then my senior year of high school we moved to Omaha. So I went from a class
Wow.
of 6 to a high school of 3,000 kids.
For
How
your
was it
senior
walking
year.
into that for
For
the
my
first time?
senior year, and if you're white, you're the minority. I went to Benson High School in Omaha. So huge, different culture. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I can get along with anyone, So like I was in band, but I was also did cross country for a while. I did a few different things, and yeah. So I mean, it was great. It was absolutely great. And then I stayed in Omaha for college, but yeah. So the western sides of the state kind of have been my I don't know, like most of what I am now as an adult have all been formed in western South Dakota, versus, when I was a kid, it was all formed in western Nebraska. So
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and is this your guys' first time out here?
No, it's probably our 5th or 6th trip.
We used
roundabouts.
we used to come out. We found this sweet gig.
Yeah, we did.
It was
Initially.
pretty
We
good.
probably
It had a
shouldn't
good
name any
run.
names for now. We're
I
not
know.
gonna.
It
Maybe that's
had-
gonna be off mic.
We had a good run initially, but then we had to kind of call it quits.
Yeah, it was. So there was this venue that hired us to play out here, and we played like 3 or 4 different years. Like once we were coming out once a year for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And the first 2 times we played it, it was like, this is amazing. I mean, people were into us. They were buying our merch. They were, and yada yada. And that's not the only reason you do it. And like the reason it wasn't because that stopped. We're not like brats
Yeah, but
like
that
that in the
certainly
music
helps.
world. It
Yeah.
does help, right?
Yeah.
But it just got to the point where it just started turning into a rougher and a rougher and a rougher
The turning
joint.
point
And-
was when someone threw up in front of us
Yeah.
at the end of the night, and we're like, "We need to be done.
Yeah.
Like this is just like this."
It just become like a drink fest, and everyone kind of.
we were just like, we couldn't have been more in the way. It seemed like every night.
Yeah, it was like
you
it
know.
wasn't really a venue set up for live music, and
Yeah, sure.
and it just seemed like through the years the venue kind of changed
Yeah.
a little bit, got a little more of a party bar type thing, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a duo playing original music and acoustic music, you're probably not going to entertain that party bar the way they wanted to be entertained.
Well, it's not really what you're looking for.
Yeah,
either.
it was best just to step back.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
let's get out of this now. But the shining light of it was every time we would come out and do that, we would also try to book it was only 2 of the times actually, but we were able to get evening at the Doll Arts Center.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So we did
Yeah.
2 different times there,
Sure.
and that place was just amazing, and that
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it was, we just kind of fell in love with the downtown Rapid City. And then, of course, how do you not enjoy going up in the hills? We stopped at Minor for the first time and sat on the front porch
Yeah,
and
that's
had
good.
a
Yeah,
flight
we
of
were
beers. And
pretty
we're just
hypnotized
like,
on that.
I just died and went to heaven. Like, there's no other place I want to be right now.
So that porch is where I recorded the Jelon Crossland episode.
Okay.
And if you listen to
I did
it,
listen to that. Yes.
you hear
yes.
all those motorcycles.
That's right.
It was like, this is a bad idea, Heath. We need to- so never again. I've learned my lesson. But yeah, it's funny how when you're playing music, especially when you go to places like that, where you almost feel like, am I just a glorified beer salesman?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Is that what I do? And then when you start writing your own stuff, you're like, I kind of want to do more than just keep a party going for
Yeah.
beer sales, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's probably their mentality when they hire you. A lot of times, I guess the venues. Yeah.
They absolutely do that, and because at the end of the day, they're a business, and they're looking at the end of the dollars that night, and if they had a good night, they'll bring you back, If they didn't, hopefully they liked you enough to bring you back anyway,
Yeah.
But
Right, yeah.
it's tough. I mean, there's places that go back and forth with either one. Where it's
Exactly,
they're
right.
your background noise or your party music, or hey, people are here to listen to you. Miners is that I would say they have a specified area, like you're there
That's
to
what I've
listen
heard.
to the artist.
Yeah, we've never made it there for any live music, but I've heard that. I've heard really good things about
Oh, it's
Miners
phenomenal.
setup.
They have their own sound system already there, and it's a great sound system. There's a separate room, but it's still connected to the bar. Well, you guys were there, so
Yeah. Yeah.
you saw it, and and the people that are there, every time I've ever played there, they're there and they pay attention and they listen and they come up to you after, hey, I really like that song. I really liked your song that you wrote. And I like this line, because they're listening. And
Exactly, and that means the world right there when
it
somebody
changes
says something
everything,
like that.
you
It
know?
does. Yep.
It's why you do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of writing your own stuff and songwriting, when did that start for you guys? Do you both kind of do it together, or is like one of you the songwriter and
Starting out, mainly Ted was a songwriter,
Okay.
I would say for sure. And when When did that start, Ted?
Hey, who's interviewing who here? That was supposed to be Heath's question. Was that?
Alice is the bartender now. She's the host.
Yes, right.
Welcome to the Alice Bar, ladies and gentlemen.
I always wanted my own bar. Yes, this day just keeps getting better.
Yeah, this is right.
Like your punk band, were you writing your own stuff then?
Yeah, it was actually. For me, it really was never a question any other way. Ever since a little kid, it was always I wanted to create my own music. I never, even during high school, it's like let's form a little band and let's play Replacements covers and I was like, no, you guys can do that. I was like, I just never
Not interested.
Yeah, it was never. I always wanted to write. When I was in that punk band, that was a little more dual, a little more uniform group songwriting.
Okay.
It was, I never considered myself that great of a punk lyricist. I loved the energy of the music. Like if I was to go, I always say if I was to go get in a punk band now, I would not be opposed. It would be really fun, but I couldn't be the singer. I would just shred, like I don't know if I'm not a depressed person. So I don't know if I'd have the angst to be punk, really
right.
punk that way. And
Tap into qualities you don't have anymore.
it just wouldn't feel right,
Yeah.
But no, anyway, songwriting's always been what I've wanted to have done.
Sure.
So it's always been a pretty, I don't want to say natural because you're always have insecurities with it, right?
Yeah,
when you're doing it. But as far as Alice and I write, when, like I said, we started doing this together going on 6 years ago now, right? We've been doing 7 years.
Maybe.
But like when we started sprouting this, I was doing all the songwriting, right? And being the guitar player and coming up with lyrics, and then she was bringing the gift of harmonies and such.
Yeah, that's what I had to offer.
And the
You'd take
percussion.
care of everything else, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I got a little ditty I can add. I don't know why I'm adding this because I don't want to sing it in front of anybody." But
Still trying to not faint and fall over.
right.
Stay with me. Stay with me.
Hold on, Alice. It'll be okay.
But in the last couple years, there's been some songs, quite a few that she's been more lyrically involved.
And I think
That's
the
cool.
turning point on that was our good friend Bridget Bowen had a CD release party in Sioux Falls when Latitude 44 was still there, and she
no more Latitude.
I know she gave us a gift for helping her with her CD release party, which was super sweet. And she gave me a journal, and I'm like, I've never written in a journal, and I think on the inside she was like, I can't wait to hear what you have to say or something, or wait for the world to hear what you have to say. And it was like, I have this journal. Like now I feel obligated. I need to put something in it, right?
Wait, I have something to say? Maybe I do have something to say.
I never thought about it. Like
Sure,
I'm just
yeah.
like, I don't know. I had never thought about that. I mean, that I would have something to say that people would want to listen. I don't know.
Thanks,
That
Bridget.
sounds so terrible to say. Like I say it now listening to the words and I'm like, where's your confidence, Alice? But so anyways, yeah. And so here's this journal and we do music and I'm like, I suppose I should probably start writing something. And I thought the first song that I would write would be like butterflies and rainbows or like something lovely or whatever, because I try to be a fairly positive person.
Sure.
And the first song I wrote was super angry. As like I have this coworker that's super crabby. He's an old like crabby mean guy, and he's just not very.
Yeah.
He is nice sometimes, but he gets like upset about stuff, and he'll just like tear people down really bad.
Sure.
And one particularly bad day, I came home and it was like, God, I just can't stand this guy. Like, oh my God, but I have to work with him. Like, I don't have to like him. Like, I just have to work with him. I guess I just have to know him. And then it's like, all of a sudden this song came out that was like super like shitty. It was a shitty song. Like,
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Once you write the first shitty song, you gotta keep going.
Isn't that the way it goes? Like, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have this journal in front of me and I can write whatever the hell I want. And I can like put my own spin on anything and I don't have to be nice. Like
Yeah.
I can be
Yeah.
super shitty in these lyrics and it's a song and it's okay and I can say what I mean, but then pretend like maybe I really didn't mean it that way. I don't know. So
Oh,
it was
man.
a really,
Yeah.
That's
it was
so great.
It was
But
a cool like evolution of, here, I'm going to help start writing songs. But then I had in my mind this like, so here's a song and it's going to be really brooding and
And
deep
Ted
and it's a
came
mad
along.
song. But remember, I don't play guitar, right?
Yeah,
So
this got
Ted,
really interesting.
here's
Oh,
my
sure.
lyrics.
And
And
I
then
seen
he's
them, right? And I'm
okay.
like, okay, dun, 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 dun. And like, I don't know if it's been long enough ago since that took place. I don't know what intervention happened. If she said them and she said them in some lingo that instilled something in my head. I don't know for sure what happened. But
No, you just read them. I never spoke
you
them out
didn't?
loud
All
to
right.
you.
So anyway, I
It's
was
all
reading
you.
them, right? And I'm like, I must have formed something in my head, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
but anyway, I should just shorten the story because Alice will pretty much say that I ruined the song for her, pretty much more than anything. Because what happened was I was like, dun, 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 and I'm like, oh crap, that sounds like a really happy riff. I mean, it's like this is like, hey, this is beat like someone might dance to this. And then it actually just kind of works. So there's this this really mad woman over here singing these lyrics, and I put it to this like really happy beat, and it worked, I guess.
And
But that was the fun.
The
that's
song
great.
is called Sarcastic Depression. So, like, his way he played the guitar made it super sarcastic even more so. So I think it ended up working
It kinda
together
gelled.
great. Yeah.
So it fits the theme of the song.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
But it was not what I expected. So, yeah.
That's cool. So I found a notebook that I wrote, I don't know, junior high school, just a bunch of songs like that. And I found it a couple years back. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I got something really good in here, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like full of stuff. Not a single page
Nothing jumped out at
was
you?
worth
No.
it. I was
Okay.
like, oh my God.
This could have
is-
stayed lost.
This is so bad. Like, I can't believe, how dare I call myself a songwriter? Like, this is ridiculous, you know? But it's funny how that changes though, especially when you start, like when I came in, I first start doing it, and then you keep going, and then before you know it, like, hey, that's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, and then you play it out in public, and you're like, hey, I like that song. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
I've made something someone likes. You know, it's
Yay.
pretty cool. You
Yeah.
know? Have you guys ever had someone like say, hey, I really don't like your songs?
Yes, absolutely.
No kidding?
We
Yeah.
just had that happen last weekend.
Yeah, Danny said that. It happened. So like one was very recent.
Thanks,
actually.
Danny, whoever
Yeah.
you are.
Danny Wiedenfeld. I bet Danny's not listening to podcasts, but if he is, I'm gonna make him listen. But
I hate that song. I really don't love. When it comes on, I skip it.
that's what. Yeah, we were playing at that brewery in Wayne where we played that show with Cynthia. Danny's he's known him since childhood. He's from our hometown.
Oh, and he's
And
awesome.
he's a great
And
guy. And
he's a
huge
great
music
music lover, and he's so supportive and loves a lot of other songs, but that one song
Yeah,
he hates.
and there's actually I shouldn't say this like it's defensive, like I need to build myself up, but there's a lot of songs that Danny's very, very passionate about liking our music. But it's funny when he came back with this, he's like, I like it when you guys play that song live. It's not as bad, but when I'm in the tractor, he's a farmer. He's like, when I'm in the tractor and that Teresa song comes on, skip. And that was his exact words. I'm like, all right, I can take that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that very much. By the way, that's my favorite song I ever wrote.
Yeah, I was like,
Really poured my heart into that one.
and then the other time it happened was I can't remember the name, Impose Magazine, I think. I should try to give credit where it's due. But I contacted them and they did an album review for us on our most recent album that
sure.
we had, which has been out for
Where are they
like
out
3
of?
years. I think it was Kansas City.
Okay.
I think, but don't quote me on that. But they did a whole album review and they were very complimentary. And then they said, but we weren't the biggest fan of this song and stuff. And
Was it Teresa? Was it that
no,
song?
it was a
Oh,
different one.
Okay,
It was a
okay,
different
okay.
one. So there's more songs
On the
people don't
same
like.
album.
On the same album, though.
no.
Yeah, right. But it's actually in
Get rid of that album.
that instant human reaction. You want to get like tensed up and upset, or if that's the
Yeah.
right word. But I actually something came over me. I guess I instantly took it as a healthy thing to have happen. You know.
Well,
to
it's
where I
funny,
didn't
like
get-
when you write your stuff, like you're pouring yourself out there and you're putting a lot out there and you're invested in it, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Completely.
to find someone that doesn't like a certain thing you did, it's an odd feeling. But you want honesty.
Exactly.
Otherwise, how do
Right.
you improve? You know.
Moms are meant to be the ones that everything
Yeah,
you
like-
do is, oh, that was awesome.
Exactly. Like,
know, my mom's
I
that
want friends.
person.
I want people to be like, hey, you know what? That's not. At the very least, say, hey, don't think that song's done yet. You
Yeah,
know? Which is a
right,
nice
right.
way of saying
Keep working.
keep going. You know what I mean? But I don't know, and not taking it personal and just realizing, okay, yeah, like that. Every song at a certain level is always evolving. You know, and realizing not everybody's gonna like everything. You know,
Exactly.
I have people that do not like my style of music at all.
Exactly. And there's
period.
people like that. Just the whole,
Yeah.
just don't like you in general, right?
Yeah,
That
right.
happens too.
Yeah. I got a lot of people that just don't like me.
I was gonna say it's not that they don't like you. Maybe
Right,
it's-
yes,
I can make the greatest song on earth, and I know several people that be like, I hate it.
That's him.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's from
hate it.
Heath. Nope, I hate it.
It's gonna be terrible.
Right.
Put it in the trash.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. And songwriting it's like any art, you know. I mean, there's people have taste, and everybody's
Yeah.
different. You know, if everyone was the same, I think art would be very boring. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Be cookie
yeah.
cutter.
And I also, you hear a lot of artists say, I just write music for myself and I don't care if people like it or not. And there is a truth in that.
Yeah.
I never write a song. I never start a song with a dollar sign in mind or an acceptance in mind. I'm just writing the song.
Yeah.
But I don't care what anybody says. It's like a chef, really good chef doesn't create this meal and be like, serve it. I don't care if they like it or not.
Yeah,
It's like when I'm
right.
done with the song, it's like, I really do hope people emulate to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is
absolutely.
that.
Well, and that's the challenge of putting a song together is you're trying to put emotions and feelings and stories into something that one, people can relate to, and two, that
Yeah.
they enjoy. You know,
Yeah.
because you can relate to stuff you don't enjoy. You know, but so
Exactly.
when trying to put those two things together, it gets challenging.
It's tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it certainly does. It certainly does. Yeah. Do you guys? So when you guys are at home, when you're not out playing shows, I'm kind of curious. So what does a married couple do in their free time at home, music wise? You can keep all your other personal stuff to
I was
yourself.
gonna say, oh, it's a good thing you said
Heath, let me
music
tell you,
wise.
see, a man loves a woman. Like, no, I'm just kidding. Like, where's he going here? But like, do you guys find yourself like, I don't know, do you binge watch Netflix? Do you do all that stuff that most people will do at a certain point, or is it like, hey, let's get the instruments out and we're sitting around after dinner and we're just playing music?
We cover a lot of different spectrums. We do have the drum set and guitars always set up in the living room. So if company comes over, it's like you gotta work around that stuff.
Sure.
I mean, so that's always set up. But we do live on an acreage. I mean, like we said earlier, we're from Nebraska, so we're fairly rural people. We have a team of horses that we hook to a wagon and we go around the countryside doing that. That's a form of entertainment. Just you
Wait,
ride in.
seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Are you kidding me? This is
Not even close.
So you hook them to a wagon and
We just go down the gravel roads. We'll go 20 miles in a day and just visit and it's just a good way to spend time together.
So we used to ride them all the time, but it's really hard to have a conversation when you're riding
you're
because
each on
like
your
one
own
horse
horse?
is usually
Sure.
in front of the other and you're
Yeah.
like
Like
turning back
hollering at each
behind.
other.
And
Yeah.
I got this harebrained idea like 2 or 3 years ago that I'm like, Ted, I really want to teach our horses how to drive. Like, I really want to drive our horses. And so we took them to a guy in western Nebraska out
by Newport, if you
by
know that
Newport.
town.
Yeah, absolutely.
His name is
Okay.
Ty Cobb.
Yep.
his name is Ty Cobb.
It's really his name is
Yeah.
Ty Cobb.
That's
And this
fantastic.
guy's 82 years old. And
This is a story all in itself.
he acts like he's 20. He's like the most healthiest guy you'll ever meet. And all he's done his whole life is break horses to drive. And you walk up, he's like, I'm 82. And you're like, you're not 82.
He
And
was
it's just
also
like-
a Golden Gloves
Glove
boxer, and I got to watch him take Ted to the ground in like a split second.
Yeah.
Like just all of a sudden, boom, Ted's on the
I
ground.
didn't see it coming either.
I
He
was
was-
not sure how I felt about that. This 80-some-year-old guy just like took my husband down to the ground, and I'm like, "Are you okay, Ted?"
And I'm on the ground just laughing. I'm just like, oh my God, that was kind
This
of
is
cool.
the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
It's actually really
But anyhow, so he trained these horses, and we in turn went out to visit him and his wife while he had our horses, and they taught us how to harness and hook them to a wagon and do all these things to stay safe. And so they had them for about a month, and we brought them back home, and then we drove all over the place that summer just to make sure that they were, they had them broke to drive,
Sure.
but it was up to us to finish the training.
Yeah, and keep them
repetition.
used to it and everything
Yeah.
like that. Sure.
Yeah.
keep them broke.
Yeah, and so now, like when we,
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
when
if you
we
ever
have
down in the
spare-
area, we'll take you for a ride, man.
yeah, when we
Just
have
cruise
spare
around
time.
with your horses.
Yeah.
You just, you
Oh,
got
it's
to-
so fun.
Yeah.
Like we sit next to each other and just BS and just go cruise around. And so when we first started doing this, people were like, what kind of vehicle is that? Because they'd see our tracks in the road, and it's hard to keep the horses just straight down the
Sure.
road. And so there's kind of swervy tracks, and then people started figuring out that it was us, and then it was
they're the
like,
drunk
oh,
Millers,
that
but we
makes
don't drink
sense.
from
Okay.
that, right?
But yeah, so that's one of the things we do in our spare time.
Yeah, and like I said, we live on an acreage, so I mean, we're pretty, not to sound cheesy, but we like to be pretty engaged with nature, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Get
music,
outside
music is
and-
my first and foremost love, but yeah, we were fortunate enough when we were still dating and not married that we were the property we live on, we were actually renting for 5 years prior to us being able to buy it, because I kept hounding our landlord. They're like, just sell us some of this. I don't have to call you for a fix on a water heater
Right.
anymore, blah, blah.
Right.
And it eventually worked. And we got acreage out of the deal. And like I said, music's my first and foremost love, but being out there in the country, probably sounds cheesy, cliched, but I don't think I could live in town again.
No.
It's inspiring. It really,
Sure.
I can at any point have music as loud or quiet as I want to, and we
Yeah.
can create outside, musically. And
Well, and when we're doing like even monotonous things like mowing the lawn or, fencing or this, that, or the other thing, it's like you're doing that physical stuff. So things are always going in your head. And then it's like not very hard to have some sort of spark of an idea of like, like there could be a song.
Yeah,
around
versus been sitting on the couch for 6 hours or something
Yeah.
like
that.
that.
Yeah,
you know,
like
'cause
trying
And
really hard to
you're
write.
using stuff and it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we should back up. We're not that dynamic. There are times that I do. No, you won't drag me off the couch. There are times that does happen.
Yes. Well,
Everybody's got that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, God, that's super cool. I can't believe that. That's I just want to be driving down the road one day and happen to see you guys on your horses. And,
So
is
if
it
you
just like you just got like a wagon, like a trailer with it, or
Yeah, it's basically, and a lot of people will give us grief, be like, because it's not a wooden wheeled wagon, right? Because I mean, if one of them breaks, where are you going to go to get a new one
Right,
of them, right? So
exactly.
it's made out of old running gear.
Oh, okay.
So it's 4 rubber tires,
Sure.
but it's a wagon, and it's
Yeah.
a wooden box that we have built with a spring loaded seats.
Okay.
And we can take up to 4 people. So come on down and we'll get you a show down there.
for a
and-
This
trip.
is a
Yeah.
great side note to say that we love doing like Sunday drive with the Miller videos.
Yeah.
So if you go to our Facebook page, you'll find pictures of like, we'll just do a video while we're out driving.
Are you
And, like,
kidding me?
That's
No.
how we advertise
So-
gigs. Just
yeah.
so you know, we're out driving, but we got
Hey,
a show
guys.
coming up.
thought I'd tell you. Guess what's coming up this weekend?
Exactly. So there you go.
Whoa.
And the whole time they're looking at 2 horses, kung, 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 and stuff.
Oh,
We don't
that
film
is-
ourselves. We just have them being filmed.
Yeah.
Oh,
but-
that is
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
God, that sounds incredibly relaxing. Just a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, just.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I work for a bike company. We make bicycle components, so like cycling and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big into that, but it kind of, I mean, there's a lot more work in cycling because you have to do it all yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
We sit
But
back and
and when you get out there and you're finally going, like it's freeing. You know,
Yeah.
I guess is a better word for it, and that kind of sounds similar to that. We were just
Yeah.
we're gonna go hang out with the neighbors. They're 5 miles down the road, and
Yeah.
we it's gonna take us about a half hour to get there, but that's okay because we got nothing going on.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could relate more than anybody with like you saying you growing up like with brandings and
Yeah.
and obviously around horses and stuff. And I didn't grow up initially. I wasn't born in a saddle. I kind of got into it a little later in life and fell in love with it. But the relaxing side of it is, man. I mean,
Oh,
like you
yeah.
get them things in the wagon. It's like it all takes you back to yesteryear of like the
Yep.
pioneers or whatever. Because you sit in that wagon and you hear the sound of the chains and the harnesses
Yep.
and then the hooves and you watching them 2 horses working together. It's like it's pretty euphoric. It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. You start to realize, hey, everything's gonna be okay.
It's all right to slow down a
It's
little
okay.
bit. Yeah.
Come back to the simpler things, right?
Yeah.
But
Does that I mean that's usually a big contrast from being out on the road playing music and doing stuff like that because you're super busy. Go. You got to get to the next gig and everything. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it's probably nice to have that to come back home
and
to.
Yes.
it creates a nice hunger on each side because
Sure.
like I said, I mean, music is my first and foremost love. So like I sometimes when I'm at home too long at home, I'll get hungry to get to the city.
Yeah.
Because I want to go to the city. I want to play music. I want to play somewhere. I want people to hear what we're doing and be creative. And if you're out doing that for a long time, it's like you pull into the driveway and the dog comes running up the lane to greet you. It's like home.
Yep.
Yeah. You know?
Time to disappear for a while.
Yep.
It's a fun way to keep the brain
So it is
screwed up.
and it's a good way to come down from the gig.
Yeah.
So because when you play music, it's like you come up here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like nobody can see where my hand is at, but you can only guess that I
Yeah,
raised
no.
my hand, right?
Absolutely.
But and then it's hard to come down from that sometimes, especially if it's like a super awesome gig or like you got
Yeah.
to play a bigger show or whatever. And so it is nice. It's like I don't know, you can just go home,
Yeah.
get out to the country, like just kind of unplug a little bit. Although my cell phone's always close by, so I'm not very good at totally unplugging, but it is nice. It just helps to just come down off of that and go, okay, now it's back to my 40-hour
Yeah.
week job.
Yeah,
or
you kind of
whatever.
feel. I mean, part of you feels like your life is split up, like you're not a whole person. But I was thinking about this last Monday. I did a songwriters songbook thing where they play like 4 or 5 songs, and the crowd interviews you, and they ask, "What's the song about?" And I got done doing that, where I'm up there for a couple hours, and they're asking me about my songs and my
Nice.
expertise, like I have any expertise, but it was cool. It was really
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
Then I get home, and I'm like, I'm changing the oil in my car, and I'm like, God, like there's just like, if people saw that side of the people on stage, like they're really normal people. They're
Yeah,
just,
right.
They happen to be in front of a microphone and they can play guitar, at that point.
Right.
Or they wrote something, But at the end of the day, like, yeah, now I'm covered in oil, like literally 30 minutes after that gig was done, I'm covered in oil doing something normal, I don't
Yeah,
know, but
yeah.
It's fun
Absolutely.
to think about. But
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like when we've had a weekend to play music, or even like last summer we went out on a short tour and did that type of thing, and then it's like to go, I don't know, as you were talking about that, my brain got to going, and even thinking about, okay, so then Monday rolls around and I walk back into work for the morning, and it's like, I don't give a shit about that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just go back to the conversation of like, oh yeah, that's great. That's fine what you did. But
Yeah.
it's like, let's get back to work. It's hard to make that transition
It's
sometimes.
super
It
hard.
really is.
Well,
Yeah.
because you're excited, you want to share it, and there's no one there that really can relate to, or even cares to relate to it. Like,
Right.
just,
Yeah.
If they were doing it too, then they'd have that reference point to relate to
Yeah.
it. But when people aren't doing the same thing, it's like, I mean, they're just kind of busy with what they're doing, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Like that's how we all are. But it's like, yeah, there's no relating.
Which is why you
to
need
it.
to have musicians as friends too, because
Exactly
Yes.
right.
you can be like, oh, I got to tell you about it. Even if it's like, especially if it's a bad gig.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I gotta vent a bit.
Sit down, we need to talk. Yeah, right,
Oh
right.
my gosh. Like I don't know. There was a gig a couple years ago down in was it Custer? Yeah, it was in Custer. And we get down there for this festival, and it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Like there was multiple stages for people to play on with different genres, but they were so close to each other. It's like,
Oh no.
you can hear, like you're just overlapping everyone.
Oh,
super
no.
weird.
Sounds
And
like
then
a
we didn't
nightmare.
get paid because they're like, well, it's grant funding, so we'll have to mail you the check. I'm like,
That's
yeah,
a,
we're never gonna see
See
Did
that.
you
that,
ever get a
right.
check?
No. Well, this is a funny story. We did get a check for a different band,
oh no.
Oh no.
not even for us. I'm
You're
like,
not
well, this-
kidding. That was a shit show.
Yeah, I was like, this is, but like, I go to work, I share that story. They're like, huh.
I know, right?
cares?
Oh, but that
You know?
sucks.
But you talk to someone else, and I'm like, what the heck was that? Because we get it. We're like, that was not done right,
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
Yeah.
can kind of cheat on that this time of year because, like, at my day job, I'll get college interns that come and help out on the field, and like, because the people I normally work with is the same way. Like, yeah, okay, but the college kids, they like consider me their boss, which I don't consider myself a boss.
What
but
is
I
it
guess
you
I
do?
am. I believe it or not, I live in the state of Nebraska, but I work for the state of South Dakota.
All right.
Right on, yeah. So I work for not the U.S., but I work for the South Dakota Geological Survey.
Oh, cool.
So I run the drilling rig to
Okay.
gather, so the geologists and hydraulics can get information
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I do the labor for the smart guys, pretty much. Put it that way, I guess. But
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
it's some interesting stuff. We've actually done some stuff out here West River that was pretty neat. Found some neat fossils and stuff like that.
Nice.
But the college kids that come on, they don't have a choice. So I can be like, you're gonna listen about my weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of like use and abuse them.
I did.
Yep, exactly.
Great.
So,
That's super cool.
yeah.
And of course, they're going to be nice and do it because they feel like they have to. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. That's funny. Do you guys... So where do you see yourselves, like, musically? Is this... like more hobby? Is it more like, second career thing? Or is it just kind of like, hey, this is something we have to do and we happen to be able to travel and do it, so we do it? Do you see, I guess better question is, do you see an end to any of this?
It's fun. Do you want me to start on this, Alice, or do you want to start rolling?
You already started.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you why I ask first, because like I've got a friend that he's like, I think when I get to 40, 45, he's like, I think
Okay.
that'll be like, okay, I enjoyed it. It was fun,
Uh-huh.
but that's kind of my cut off.
That's his end game there.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know,
bet.
and he just wants to enjoy it and do as much as he can with it. But at that point, he wants to be done.
Okay.
And I'm like, I never really thought about that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would ever, like, will I be 80 and still booking gigs? I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
on that question right there, I think my body's going to tell me that. Not body and like physical health, but more of like my mental state. It's like, I guess when I decide I'm going to be done, it'll be done. I'm not going to set a future deadline.
Yeah.
You know
when
what
it,
I mean?
When
It's-
it ceases to be fulfilling
and
it's time to be
inspirational,
done.
you know,
maybe.
When it becomes a chore.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I gotta stay up till 1 and play music or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Oh man.
But-
So I can't believe I actually I feel like we're just getting going.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is coming from me. That's
That's
falls
amazing.
over like the fainting goat, right?
Well,
I'm
every
finally
time
able to stay standing the whole gig.
And I
we
can-
just started.
every time you
Yes.
faint, it's a new beginning. So yeah, let's keep rolling. It was like we're just getting started.
I just finally am like starting to get comfortable. You better not be ready to be done with this because
I
I'm going
promise
to be
not. I
mad.
promise I'm not. But no, like Alice and I do always joke that sometimes, how do I want to say that? Sometimes we joke that maybe we're too humble. You know, like some people, like, do we just portray ourselves as too much regular Joes? Does that make sense? Am I saying
Yeah,
that
I think
correct?
that's-
You know, and I think that's a healthy thing to do because I don't want to walk into the. I want to be humble to the venues that hire us. You know, and be like, yes, we appreciate being here. We want to be
Yeah,
here. You know,
absolutely.
and stuff. But then in my head, I'm like, am I supposed to walk in like I'm the damn artist? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that would not feel very
and
good
I
to
don't
me.
want to do that. I
She
don't.
would faint all over again.
Yes,
Right,
and
and-
would start my career of fainting again.
Oh,
Yeah,
the levels. Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's and you know the artists that do that. Like I've
Exactly.
you know,
They're easy to spot.
yeah, and
you
oh
know.
man, and they're not fun.
No,
I don't know.
no, it's,
So-
it's very uninspirational, you know. And so, like with that being said, I guess I do want to. I'll take anything. I'm gonna keep working towards anything that I want, or I say that right. I'm gonna keep writing and keep making music and keep loving it. And God damn it, I can't wait for the next thing that'll come in our lap. You know, if it was that next stage of success, game on. You know, but if we stay at this speed, meeting new people like yourself, and that's a measure of success right there. The places we've gone and the friends we have now that we wouldn't have had if we wouldn't be doing this music. Like that
Sure.
tour we did in New Mexico. There's this old hippie down in New Mexico that still texts me now like every day.
Cool.
You know, and I mean that's success right there, right?
Yeah.
You know,
And
this is wonderful.
even we were telling you about Cynthia Brando that came through, and we had met her last year. She lives in LA, and we did a show with her last week in Wayne, Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's like we would have never found those people,
Right.
talked to those people, created those connections had it not been for music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting here with you today.
Yeah, it's funny that the doors that open up when you're connected that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people you meet. Like I think back on the people that I've met and the people I've got to talk to, and it's unreal. Like
It really is.
I'll get to meet someone that I've listened to for years. I'm like, I can't believe they're right in front of me. I'm going to say hi
Yeah.
to them, you know, and it's super cool. But that's part of it too. Is it's the people that they don't act like their shit doesn't stink.
Exactly,
You know,
right?
it's like they're a real person, and they're playing music, and people like it, and they're doing it, you know. And,
Yeah.
And those are the people that I don't know. Like when I go to play a venue, like I kind of consider myself like I'm working for them, and they're my boss, you know. And my whole mindset is that like, yeah,
Yeah.
what do you need? Like what do you need? I'm like, well, what do you need? What's easiest for you? You know, I'm pretty flexible. You know, I don't
Yeah.
have to have a writer. You know, maybe someday it'll be fun to just have one. It just says a bunch of joke stuff, you know. I need a beanbag full of Heath bars and you know, something weird, you know. But I don't know. But it's fun to do, and it's if it stops being that, I think that would be it for me. Like if it
Right.
ever stopped being fun, I think I would start to question like, what am I doing?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
and figure things out from there.
Yeah,
But-
and I think maybe even at that point, this is just speaking personally, I think if that even happened, I think I would still like, we'll see if we know Pro Tools by that point, if that point ever gets there. But I still think I would be a creator, you know, even if I didn't, if I
Sure.
lost the urge to go out in public and do that end of it, I still think there would be, I mean, the guitar wouldn't gather dust at home, I don't think yet.
Sure.
You know,
I
something
mean,
like
I'd
that.
still
but, you know,
noodle and goof around and probably
Yeah.
still write music and stuff. But as far as doing shows maybe a couple times a year. But,
Right,
like,
yeah.
you know, and summer times, like it's every weekend, you know, I'm always busy and like, God, I don't know how many, it gets really busy and a lot of work, you know,
Yeah.
especially when you have a day job too, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
well, and then you find yourself like, oh, well, it does get super busy in the summer because you're like, oh, I've got a gig.
Yep.
Oh, everybody's getting together.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't make it this weekend.
Yeah.
I have a gig. You know.
And I suppose out in Rapid City area, like
even
venues
more.
are probably really used to having to cancel gigs in the winter, I suppose, right? Like
Yeah,
massive
so-
snowfalls and
either they don't do them in the winter or they
Okay,
do, but they
yeah.
understand it's going to be a smaller crowd.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get lucky. Sometimes, you know, people get the cabin fever and they're like, oh, there's music.
yeah.
Okay, I'm getting out. You know, no matter how cold it is, something like that. Like I've
Yeah.
played a few gigs in the wintertime and it's kind of been shocking. Like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people here. But yeah, there's definitely not as many and condensed into the amount of time that we do in the summertime. In the wintertime, they're spread out a
Right.
bit. I mean, unless you travel. You know, there's a lot of people around here that do travel, and I just don't do that. You know, I stay pretty local. You know, when you
Yeah.
have kids and a job, and
Yep.
it's-
and you just had another kid, right?
yeah, we just had a
congrats,
little
man.
girl,
Yeah.
2 months old, a little over 2 months now, and
So how's
Right
your
on.
sleep?
what's that? No, I'm just kidding. She does okay. She does okay. I mean, she has her moments, you know, like every
Yeah.
newborn does. But we named her Lyra after a song lyric. So it was, you know, kind of
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Lyra
Neat.
Rose, and yeah, she just lost her voice this last weekend. She had a little bit of a scream fest on us, and
Well, that might help us sleep for
oh, it's
momentarily.
been
then I was
so
like,
great. Don't even, like, my wife is like, oh, she just because then when she does kind of cry a bit, it just sounds so pitiful, you know, and it's like super. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, this is amazing. Like, my ears don't hurt, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, just.
It'll be okay.
It's gonna come back in a few days, and we're gonna be like, oh my god! But, no. But she's doing really good.
Awesome. Good to hear.
It's pretty exciting to see. But
right on.
where are you at online? You mentioned Facebook. Do you have your stuff on like Spotify, iTunes, or anything like that? Or
Yeah,
is it-
all digital
Okay.
media we've got there, and we've got a website, which is probably the easiest place to go to
Okay.
than to find our Facebook and Instagram and all that
Sure.
kind of stuff. We tweet, but we don't tweet.
Yeah, the Twitter thing, I started it and I'm like, this just ain't happening. I might, maybe I'm not driving it right, but
I've tried to figure all that out too. Like, what do I want to use it for?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I post to Instagram, and then that just automatically goes to my Twitter feed.
Okay.
But then like I keep my Twitter feed for like mostly personal stuff. Like if I have a thought or something I'm doing today, or
Okay.
some random thing. But then Facebook and Instagram are definitely more
That's-
music
we're-
and
we're-
podcast focused. And
yeah,
everything
we're
like
totally
that.
engaged in those.
And then YouTube, we do have a YouTube page. We're starting to put more content on that
Yeah.
slowly but surely, you know. But we were just talking today. We need a better camera so we can do some more videos at home or something. We either do them with the iPhone, or we have this old video recorder that we thought did pretty good, and then the last one we recorded, we're like, oh, that was shit.
Yeah, and
we
it was
should have
such
used the phone.
I set the bar so high for that video too. So a friend of mine, you know, with all the devastating flooding that happened in
it's
Nebraska this year, it was heartbreaking. It
Horrible.
really was.
My family's whole basement,
Did it?
4 foot
Yeah.
of water from the sewer.
Yeah.
Like just
And like
Yeah.
the Spencer Dam broke out there, you know,
Yeah.
and that one guy passed away, and all the cattle, you know, it was just a horrible deal.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, and I've never been one to, you know, sit down and write a song. You know, like I'm going to sit down and write today.
Sure.
You know, that really hasn't been in my arsenal much. But a friend of mine's mom messaged me. She's like, "You're ever gonna, you know, write a song about the flooding in Nebraska? You know, you're from Nebraska." I'm like, God, I didn't give, my heart was out to him, but I didn't give it thought to put it into a
Sure.
song. I'm like, son of a gun, I think I'll do that. And we did it. It's a pretty cool tune, I think. I hope I do. But we filmed the video with it with our old camera, and we're like, and then we posted it to YouTube, and we're like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. Like the video is just horrible, pixelated, and it's not that
Yeah,
funny of a
dark.
story. You had to be with us to see the disappointment in
no.
our face. But
Yeah.
well, I don't know. Equipment is that monster. Like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Like once you dive into it, like you can always
Where do
get
you
better.
stop?
Like I've got a list of video cameras I want to end up getting at some point, and
you have to share that list so you can help us get
yeah.
educated. Yeah.
I'll show you. I'll show it
Yeah,
to you, and
yeah.
you'll be like, oh man. And it's like, yeah, and there's a reason I don't have them yet. Because
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But do you guys? What's the website? I guess you said you have a website.
TedandAliceMiller.com.
TedandAliceMiller.com.
Pretty
That's
simple.
Easy to remember.
That original band name we've got.
For the original. Yeah.
Yeah, I still think about like, why didn't we come up with some epic band name? But all of a sudden, like, we recorded that first album and then started playing shows, and it was like, what name do you put on the show? Well, it's like, oh, well, it's Ted and Alice Miller, and I guess that's where it started.
That's
There
how it
you go.
stayed stuck. Yep. Yep.
So my band, The Ruthless West, the CD I gave you guys.
Right
there,
on. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, I always wonder that too. Like, should I have just kept it as Heath Johnson, and just now I have a band, because you never know. Like, marketing is part of the game when you're in
Right.
music.
Yeah,
like, how
right.
do you present yourself? And if you change your name too many times, you're, like, I don't know if you watch Parks and Rec, but you're Andy Dwyer and you're changing your band name every 30 seconds because you think it's something cooler. But yeah, so I always wonder that. But I don't know. But if it's your name, I think that's easy to remember and it's easy to brand because it's who you are.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
So
No turning back now, I guess. We actually got two albums. The first album that I gave you there is just under my name because that's when the Fainting Goat stuff was still going on pretty good, I guess,
Yeah.
or whatever. We didn't know how it was going to all come together.
Just
so
Ted.
yeah.
I need your next album to be Fainting Goat. That needs to be the name of it, and that needs to be the title
Just
track.
Yeah.
Just the cover art will be like a goat,
It'll just be upside down.
4 legs in the air.
And then that's a great T-shirt sale too. Like people would buy that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? An upside down goat.
Heath, I have to tell you, thank you for this conversation because that
is
next
great.
album is in the works, and I can already see the
It's gonna
artwork.
be so good. I can't wait. Heath Bar inspired.
Yeah.
Which one were you? Oh, so this one was just you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alice is on it, and she sang on it a lot and everything. But that
Okay.
one was kind of done with the mindset. That was kind of the beginning of the beginning, I guess. Begin the begin, like REM song. But when I went into that, at that point, my mentality was, if I'm only going to do this once in my life, I'm like, I want to go to a studio and capture at least some of the songs I've written professionally. That was strictly my mentality. Performing them songs publicly wasn't exactly on the forefront yet. I just was like, I'm going to go to a studio, and I hired session musicians because that's on that album in particular. It's really full band country
And full
sound.
country.
This is
Yeah.
the muscle, bone, skin, and fat album.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
That's and the studio was great. The experience was great. The session musicians, we made a really good product. But the other two albums are more representative of what Alice and I do together.
Okay, cool.
And
You know,
those, side note, were what's the word I want? Anyways, Chad Conrad from Pony Creek Studios, or he did the sound for the White Wall sessions
Yeah.
for quite a while. He
Oh, okay.
He was the
produced
engineer on
those
those.
next two
Oh,
albums.
cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And so, like I said, then now we're going to try to be going down the road of home recording for a change, and we'll see
Yeah,
how that goes. It
yeah.
might go crawling back to Chad. You never know.
Yeah.
So-
He did offer help, so
That's a monster.
yeah, exactly.
This is cool, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks for
yeah.
having us, man.
Yeah, I always hate that when I started doing these podcasts. I was like, we're just gonna go to whenever, and I'm like, you kind of have to.
You do.
you
kinda
have to cap
run them in a
them.
bit
Yeah.
because it's how it works. But the cool part is you guys can always come back. We can do
That's
it again.
right.
at some
Absolutely. We would
point.
love to, man.
It'd
Yeah.
be super cool. TedandAliceMiller.com. You guys are on Facebook. You guys are playing at Firehouse Brewing tonight.
Yep.
Here in
Yes.
Rapid City.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exciting. And I was drinking Ben's Brewing,
Have the Kenny Pepper.
the
Yes.
Kenny Pepper from Ben's Brewing, and kudos because it was really, really good.
Right on. Yeah, they make some great beers down there too.
I might pour myself another. We'll see.
right on.
Anyway, guys, we will see you guys soon.
Absolutely.
And I hope you have a good show tonight.
Thanks.
And,
Likewise, you're playing a show.
Yeah,
shows
I'm in
tonight?
Deadwood. Hopefully, I don't get hailed out again.
Yeah, right.
That was a trip. You're watching everything get soaking wet, and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. That's how it works. So, anyway, this is great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, thank
Got
you
a lot
so
of fun.
much for
Thanks.
having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it for this episode of the Heath Bar, folks. And that's it for this part of the conversation. But it keeps going. Go check out Plucking Strings with Ted and Alice Miller. Fantastic podcast. And this conversation's part 2. And as always, we'll see you next time.